Welcome to Real Estate Powerhouse, live on Tab Talks with your host, Talia Bashani, top real estate attorney and negotiation expert. This is your opportunity to get the inside scoop and hear straight from top real estate agents in the business. Broadcasting live from New York City, learn the secrets of their success and hear the most authentic, real, unfiltered stories about how they got to where they are today. From their wins to their failures to the biggest lessons of their careers and what keeps them rising to the top. And now, here is your host attorney, Talia Bashani.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Powerhouse, live on Tab Talks. Today in the studio, we have with us Victoria Shtainer from Compass. Welcome to the show, Victoria.
Thank you so much, Talia. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's start off a little bit and please tell our viewers and our listeners today a little bit about your background and how you got started in the real estate industry.
I'm just a girl from Brooklyn who came to the United States when I was 6 years old from Ukraine. And I always had the gift of gab, and I wanted to be an attorney. So I went to law school, graduated when I was 24, and worked as a litigator. And then I realized, the hours are crazy if you wanted to be married and have children. And when I became married and had the children, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the 80-hour work weeks, and I couldn't work from home because that wasn't an option back then. And I realized that I really love real estate, and I really love the homes, looking at it, finding it, buying it, selling it, and everything like that. And I had a friend who worked at Douglas Elliman, and she said, "Why don't you come and join me on my team?" And I realized that I don't need to have a broker's license. As an attorney, you already have a license.
Yeah.
And that was, 22 years ago.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
you are definitely a true
OG.
Yeah. You are a very seasoned,
Yes,
seasoned broker.
Yes.
I love that because attorney to attorney, it's so nice to have those analytical skills, and everything that you probably learned in law school was very applicable, to the real estate business, especially when it came down to contracts, because this is a very transactional type of business.
Uh-huh.
So how did those skills, as an attorney, really transfer over into your success as a real estate broker?
In the beginning, it was, like you said, the contracts, looking at deal sheets and understanding what we need to do to the closing table to get there and to have the client buy the property or home or whatever they're looking at, commercial real estate. Today, I look at it very differently. I think that going to law school and having the mediation, arbitration, negotiation skills really set us apart in understanding tactical empathy and being able to understand what is driving the transaction, who is driving the transaction, and how do we close.
Okay.
And that gives me a big insight into the psyche of the buyer, the seller, the two agents, and also the attorneys.
Okay.
And that's what makes, I think, me stand out from other people, because I use that talent and I use that mindset to help this happen.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's very unique position for you to be in. And I think you're right. I think, having those skills in advance and coming from that type of background really gives you a leg up, and also allows you to effectively represent your clients even better, because you kind of know, a lot more than your everyday, real estate agent might know. So that completely makes sense. Now, when you got started in the real estate business and you were kind of learning the ins and outs of the industry, how did you, what was your main focus? So were you focused more on the buy side and representing buyers? Were you going after exclusives and representing sellers? Did you start with new dev? So give us a little bit about the initial business that you built.
The initial business started from just word of mouth. Friends who wanted to buy a home, and they would say to me, "I'm moving to the city. I'd like you to help me buy an apartment." So it definitely started out with buyers. And then the buyers became sometimes renters, and then the renters became buyers again or sellers. So it really depends what stage in life the person was in. And obviously, I'm able to do it all because we have the background. I could sell land, I could sell townhomes, condos, co-ops, condups, and understand the difference and to be able to articulate that to the client.
Yes.
Yeah.
So important.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Now, fast forward, okay, to today, 20 years later plus, where is your main focus and where is your main strength? Or are you still doing a little bit of medley of everything? Or do you love to focus on a certain property type or exclusive listings?
My main strength, I think, is listings, sell,
Okay.
but also buyers, because seeing so much real estate, I'm able to, back in the day when we would have clients pre-COVID fly into New York and say, I'm looking for X. I've seen it because I look at property all the time with my team. We go look at new development. We go on open house tours. So I'm able to understand what the client needs are, and we're able to pinpoint it quicker.
Okay.
Because of that.
Okay. Love it. Great. Now, when you started in the business, a lot of people have a different perspective relative to starting out as a solo agent or working with a team. What do you feel? First of all, what do you do? Well, I know you have a team, but talk about, what you think the pros and the cons are. And were you always on a team?
I started out on a team. The problem for the team that I was on is the team lead never had any structure. There was no, everything is apprenticeship, I think, in life. I mean, when we got out of law school, we didn't know how to take a case and go to court, how to file a complaint, how to do a bill of particulars, or how to, intimidate a client or vice versa.
Yeah.
So we didn't know any of that. And the same thing with real estate, even though we take property in law school, but we don't know how to do a deal sheet. We don't know how to take a client out and show them 3 properties. And, what is a board package or anything like that. So the team lead never showed me any of that. And the only thing it was is like we would sell new dev. That was easy because there was no board package. And then 2008 hit.
Yeah.
And the market really crashed.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, okay, what do I need to do? So I went and sat on the desk and sat on my own. And because we had downtime, I learned the business backwards and forwards.
Wow.
I learned how to do a board package myself. I learned how to distinguish, what is a maintenance, what is assessments, all the terminology that we need to know as agents. And then I started thinking to myself, once the business does come, I really need to have help. And that's when I got an assistant, which was, they have to be licensed because they have to be able to show property.
Right.
And then when there was an overflow business, you bring in more people to help you.
Okay.
So then you start building the team.
So everybody says, you're only as good as your team, right? Because your team is a reflection of who you are and your leadership. And we all know that's really important to have. So it's probably, personality tests. People has different, strengths relative to, who you're bringing on. And you probably had to shuffle a little bit, just to make sure that that it was just this like well-oiled machine that could essentially, run on its own. So talk to us a little bit about how you would recommend formulating a team so that it's truly successful and what you look for in your team members.
So, when I initially was a Douglas Elliman, the people that I hired was people just to support me, just to take care of the runoff business. And I realized that when you look at the end of year transactions, it was, let's say we did 60 transactions, 50 of them would be me, and 2 of them they would have their own business. They would only do 2 transactions.
Okay.
And now I realized, like when I came to Compass 9 years ago, this company is run by different people because they're business school. And they understand that as a team lead, you have to teach people how to fish, not just throw the fish on their table, but also to take the rod and the worm and put in the water and be able to get clients. So I realized that my power is to really create and grow and make incredible agents. And now I look at the GCI, which is the gross closed sales at the end of the year, and you see, wow, how good they have become.
Yeah.
So it's not only me who's done, out of 60 deals, 58 me.
Yeah.
Now they're bringing in business, and it's real business, and it's incredibly empowering to empower people.
Yes, for sure. And the fact that you can nurture the team, and it's not so much about competition, it's really about working together and making sure that we all succeed as a unit, and not that you're up against one another, which is great because look, a lot of people might have an issue with, well, why should I give you a portion of my commission if I'm doing a majority of the work and you're not pulling your workload properly. So I've heard the stories that it kind of gets a little miffed a bit, but it's nice to see that you've really nurtured your team and that you give everybody the confidence and also that room to grow to that level of success.
Right. I say them, the more successful you are makes me very successful because it shows me how I'm able to push you and make you into an incredible agent.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. So let's talk about a little bit about, what you think it takes to really navigate the luxury real estate market. This is New York City. We have all types, different breeds, different types of people, of real estate, and it's, record-breaking type of town. So I'm sure you've come across a lot of high net worth individuals and clients. Yeah. Tell us from your perspective, what does it really take to crack the code to really be successful in the luxury real estate market here?
Well, I just want to say that I've sold everything. I've sold, studios at $300,000, and I've sold, $25 million, $40 million apartments. So I've sold everything because being an attorney, we don't discriminate in the numbers, because I think that every transaction is very special and the person's very special because we are dealing with people's homes. Yeah. This is not just an asset or income producing asset. It's really an emotional journey for the person.
Sure.
To crack the code, there's no code. Just deliver above and beyond service than people expect. Wow them, make them feel special. Okay. And my clients become really my close friends. I love them. I enjoy them. And when the relationship, it's not over, but when the transaction is over, I miss them. Aww. I speak to them. I know when their birthday is. I know the name of their dog, or their spouse, or whoever is important in their life, because you get so close to the person because you need to feel them to understand what are their needs. And so the code of luxury is just be good, and people will keep referring you. And as they do better in life, they'll buy bigger and better things.
Right.
And hopefully they'll use you.
They'll come back to you. Yeah. Exactly. Well, like you said, it's really about forming those relationships. And this business is not just a numbers business. It really comes down to the friendships and the relationships. And look, maybe you spend a lot of time and you invest a lot of time and energy with a client that may not be ready to buy now. And then a couple years go by, but they understand and remember, all the time that you really put into nurturing that relationship for them, and they come back to you. So it really is not just a numbers game, like you said, and I think that speaks volumes on your success.
Right. It's not just a numbers game, but it's also a game, not the game, but you kind of have to understand, if it's not a good time and they don't feel comfortable, that's okay. Yeah. And I say that to them. It's okay. We don't have to transact. We could, I put them in something we call a collection, and they get to see properties and what has sold and closed in their building or in their neighborhood or whatever's happening. Okay. And also I tell them, like, this is a good deal, or if you're ready. And also, the mortgage products are very different for different, professions. If you're a doctor, you could get 95% financing. Right. There's closing costs, things that you could get, and people realize that, they say, like, you date the rate, but you marry the price.
Right. Precise. Yeah, right? Exactly.
So there's different,
because you can refi in 2 years. So that should not hinder you or hold you back, for sure, from buying. Because look, especially in this market, we've seen it, especially over the last 20 years, the ups and downs, the highs and lows. Yes. But with real estate, you're going to always get that solid ROI on your investment. So you just have to ride the wave, and, eventually you'll see that return. But there's no reason reason not to buy just because the interest rates are a little higher.
Right.
So what type of market shifts, we know here in New York City, inventory has been a little slim, but what do you do to really ramp up the business? Like what, as far as maybe your marketing efforts or, your client appreciation, let's say happy hours, things like that. What do you do to really get the business going?
I pick up the phone.
Okay, there you go. Old school, everyone.
No,
old school.
but it's not. I don't call to say, hey, you want to sell or buy or whatever.
Yeah.
I just, if you look at basically the last 5 years of people that you worked with, and you realize it's the same person that has referred and gone over things, and between COVID. Finding out how the person's doing, finding out where their children are, how they are doing. Mm-hmm. It's a nice way to connect, just to say, how are you?
Yeah.
And because we are humans and people miss that human touch.
Right.
Now, everybody loves to text or, send an email.
Yeah.
But to hear the person's voice and to see them face to face, it's a different feeling.
Yeah, you're right. It is, people love to hear a real person on the other side of the line, especially with AI, really kind of taking over and is the wave of the future and technology as we know it, where you get all the robots that try to impersonate being a real person, but you know who it is or not. And I think people really appreciate that you actually take the time to pick up the phone and call them because it shows that you really are genuine and authentic and that you care. So people don't lose sight of that. AI, yes, will probably, make your business a lot more efficient, but it loses the personal touch. Clients still want to feel that, for sure.
And I'll tell you, when we were locked down in New York, we were one of the very few states that we had to physically could not show property. Mm-hmm, okay. Right. So for me, who sells in buildings, I have to physically get a key from a doorman, meet a client and go upstairs. Yeah. And we weren't allowed to do that from March till like July 10th. Mm-hmm. I missed people. Yeah. I missed the connection. Yeah. I missed meeting people, hearing about them and having that whole thing. I never thought I would say that or feel that. But once we returned back, oh my God, was it great to work. Yes. Like I love working. Yeah. Which is crazy to say.
Well, that's good. Well, like they say, if you love what you do, then it's not really work, No,
it's work. But, but I do love what I do.
But it makes it enjoyable.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. All right. Well, we are going to take a brief commercial break and we will be right back with part 2 of Real Estate Powerhouse with Victoria Shtainer. We'll see you right back. This is Talia Bashani, your real estate attorney and negotiation expert. I'm here to give you the straight up, no nonsense, practical legal negotiation tools that can either make or break your deal. I've been practicing in New York City for 15 years and I've closed over 10,000 properties and over $500 million in real estate. I've seen it all while working with the most successful real estate agents in one of the most competitive cities known for record-breaking real estate deals. Mindset is a powerful tool and essential to growth, but add that to essential creative negotiation tools and you're unstoppable. If you want to get certified in luxury real estate sales, acquire more exclusive listings, and learn the nuts and bolts of high-end real estate transactions, then check out my coaching program and learn the tools and secrets to become a 7-figure realtor. My goal is to ensure that you increase your closing percentage, you double your commission, and you make more money by working smarter, not harder. You hold the key and the power to your own success. All you have to do is follow my negotiation tools and strategies that I've developed for you in order to excel. For more information and to get a free preview of my program, check out tali360.com and let's get started today. Welcome back to the show, everyone, for part 2 of Real Estate Powerhouse. We have with us today Victoria Shtainer from Compass in the house. Welcome back, Victoria.
Oh, thank you so much. So happy to be back.
Good. So I want to talk about some fun stuff now. Let's talk about when you feel like you really got your biggest break, like the biggest game changer in your career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Getting a coach.
Getting a coach. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So tell us about how a coach really transformed your life, your business, and what that coach helped you with.
So, we as women have always been like, there is a glass ceiling in everything we do. And I don't want, to say this because this is, people think that real estate is a female dominated industry, which it is if you probably look at the numbers of how many agents we have,
Right.
male and female.
Yeah.
But I realized that because we have so many things going on in our lives and everything, it was very difficult to break a certain number in terms of like an athlete, right? If you make the same amount of deals every year, year after year after year after year,
Right.
you're considered a very good athlete and you're able to perform.
Right.
I did that for year after year after year after year. And then I realized that, okay, how do I get better? And what does better mean? Is it better in terms of more transactions? Is better in terms of more money? Is better in terms of time off? Is better, better in building a team? And I realized that I needed to get better in everything that I just said.
Okay.
No, but not really the amount of transactions, but
Okay.
maybe doing the transactions better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
you felt
less
that-
stressful.
Less stressful. Okay.
Yes.
So you thought that there was a level of improvement in the way that you were handling your deals. And,
No, not
Oh,
handling the deals, but
okay.
level of improvement, like not to stress over it, or like
Okay.
instead of noticing what the fire could be and not
Okay.
putting out the fire. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Got it.
Like being proactive,
Proactive.
instead of reactive.
Understood.
Because we
Okay.
agents have to put out fires all
All the
day,
time.
but I don't want that. So we don't have that now
Okay.
because we see it before it happens.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
it's about problem solving, issue spotting.
Prior to it
prior
becoming
to-
a problem.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and forcing the issue
Right.
and before it really
Right.
becomes one.
Exactly.
Okay, so how did the coach? What type of methodology did the coach teach you to allow you to get to that point?
Take the day off.
Okay, all right. So balance. It sounds like.
Complete balance.
Okay.
Balance. Having systems in place.
Okay.
Well, taking time out for me, like
Okay.
meaning like if I need to get, let's say, exercise, you do the exercise.
Okay.
If you need to meditate in the morning, you meditate in the morning.
Okay.
Whatever it is, you have to take the time out for you.
Yeah.
And how to work smarter, how not to work. The phone has to be shut off at a certain time. So
Okay.
that those are the things that were prioritized, and they work because you don't. This is a burnout industry.
Yes, it
and
is.
I've seen a lot of agents burn out
Yeah.
and leave the industry, and I didn't want to burn out.
Okay. So it sounds like it's really about time management, time blocking.
Yes.
Taking that personal time so that you're not just running ragged all the time. Because as we know, real estate never stops. It's not like you check out at 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
Weekends are probably the busiest time because that's when your clients are not working. So yeah, that's huge. So let's talk about some of those side passions or what you love to do when you're not working real estate to really keep the mental health and to keep you calm and less stressed.
I love Soul Cycle. That's
Okay.
that's my drug.
That's your thing. Okay.
I really don't drink, so the alcohol and drugs are not part of it.
Okay.
Of my life.
Good. No dependency.
No dependency. And even though like our industry is a huge, like it's always, let's have drinks,
Yeah.
let's do wine, let's do this. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I love good walk in the park. Central Park to me, or looking at water is very important. I love my dog.
Okay.
I have a dog who he's my son.
Oh.
He's adorable.
Yes.
And it's my first dog. I've never had a dog before. So my
Aw.
parents never gave me one. So this is my dog.
Yes.
And also being, a good mother and a good wife. It's very important. And a very good team lead, because the younger agents, they come into this industry and a lot of people don't have the financial stability of a mom and dad or whoever to support them.
Yeah.
So they really rely on the money and the paycheck. So they start, the first 2 years are crucial because they go through their savings.
Right.
And you have to teach them how to make money.
Yes.
And if you do that, empower them, then they go. Or if you don't, they leave the industry.
Right.
We had 70,000 people leave the industry this year.
This year alone?
This year alone.
Wow. I thought you were going to say maybe since the pandemic, but
This
actually
year.
this year in
This year.
2023? Wow.
This year.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a, fight or flight type of industry, especially when it's, it's feast or famine. If you don't have enough business to go around because there's not enough property on the market or not enough, inventory or sellers who want to sell or whatever it is, then it's like, what are people going to do for money? So it's really one of those things that you either have to like tough through you've seen the wave, we saw it in '08, clearly we saw it in 2012, in 2011, so '01 after 9/11. So there's a lot of highs and lows in this industry.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that. So but you have to, just kind of like grind your way through it because there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel in real estate. It's cyclical. It's going to come back around.
My best years were the tough years.
Okay. See, a lot of people say that.
I like it. I like it when this happens. I don't mean like people that are employed and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't like disaster.
Not disaster, but it shows who the cream of the crop is.
Yes.
And this is when I thrive.
Yes.
I understand where the opportunity is. The majority of our deals this year were high-end rentals because the rental market was so high.
Yeah, through the roof.
Through the roof. And we did very well. Their rentals are quick transactions.
Right.
They're,
you get paid fast.
Paid fast. And I've seen this before. And since February, we've done very, very well because it was all rentals.
Wonderful. Excellent.
And as you know, the new dev.
Yeah.
If people are smart enough to buy new dev right now, this is the way to go.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
That's really, and for investors and, buyers, because again, if you're an investor and you're buying new dev and then you can yield those high rental income,
exactly.
It's just like, it's a beautiful thing, it pays for itself.
Yeah, especially if you're buying it a tax abated building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So over the course of the last 20 years, again, you've, basically had to see all type of challenges and confront all, type of issues. What would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned along the way for all of our newer real estate agents who, maybe are really trying to succeed in the business? They don't want to, everybody makes mistakes. We all, fall down and have to get back up. What was the biggest lesson of your career?
Biggest lesson? That's a big question. I think some of the lessons that I've learned that you have to run this as a business.
Okay.
This is a business, and you have to understand what your numbers are, where the business is coming from.
Okay.
Is it from your mailer? Is it from Talia, who has a million friends, who's going to refer business to you? Yeah. Is it, your mom or, telling all her girlfriends about you? Where is the business coming from?
Okay.
And then focus on that. And don't waste money on other things that don't pay off, because people, because we get a marketing money and then we have other money. We're like, okay, let's spend money on all this stuff, but it's not yielding anything. So if you have limited money to spend it on something that you feel that is going to have a return from you. And also, be kind to yourself. Really be kind to yourself, and don't listen to the negativity.
Yeah.
The other thing that, I think the level of success is that if you work in a big firm, focus on one of the top agents or a few top agents and just model. Yeah. Just watch them. Yeah. See how they work and what they're doing. If they're in the office every day, go to the office.
Right.
If they're, having a lunch and learn, go listen. Don't spend stupid time doing nothing. Yeah. Really use that time to get the education.
Yeah. Yeah, so smart. And like you said, it's not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's somebody, in your office, in your firm that is already killing it. So watch what they do, watch and learn, and you can really follow in their footsteps and avoid a lot of the pitfalls and common mistakes that a lot of newer, agents make.
Yes.
And as far as sourcing your leads, okay, because that was the initial thing that you said, like make sure you focus on, the proper referrals, where your business is coming from. Where do you get most of your leads? Do you guys do, as a team, is it all about your CRM and doing follow-ups? Is it about cold calling? Is it about, sending out postcards or mailers in a building where you've closed a recent listing? What has been the greatest return on your investment?
Past clients.
Okay.
Constant reminder to them. I use Instagram and Facebook not as a oh, here's my property. Look at this property. Look at this property.
So it's not a billboard of your property.
No. Okay. It's really, it has to do a mix of life, of things that we see in the city, like Halloween, like the best places to go, or a brand new restaurant that's opening up. But we do that, and it kind of puts the puts it in people's heads that, hey, oh, she does real estate. So maybe they're not going to transact this second,
Yeah.
but when they do, they'll transact.
So they remember you.
Yeah, they remember
and you stay relevant.
Yeah,
to them.
nobody asked me, like, what do you do for a living?
Right.
People know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's not like, oh, are you still in real estate? Nobody's ever asked me that in 22 years.
Yeah.
They know what I do.
They're like, Victoria's not going anywhere. Anybody.
They
Okay.
know. They know.
Yes, they know.
They know.
Okay. Now that's so important, the follow up and the follow through, so it's not enough that you maybe just follow up with them and you send, but if you actually get a response, you have to follow through with that person.
Yeah.
It's like, it's seeing it through to the finish line. And like you said, even if they're not ready to buy right now, but they responded, they're like, oh, so great to hear from you. Thanks so much for these Halloween party tips. Oh, no problem. How are you and the kids? How's the family?
Right.
So it's keeping that engagement and the conversation going. And they just see that you don't have your hand out, but you're actually genuinely just being like, hi, check this out.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I get your guys' newsletters all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I even learned something new I'm like, oh, that's going on in New York. Like, oh, okay, great. So I find it very useful and very helpful. So,
and when you think of real estate New York, you think of us. You don't think like, who else is there, right?
Right,
You're like,
exactly.
Because you got that and you got that tidbit or whatever.
Exactly, precisely. And then you're like, oh, yeah. And then, yes, absolutely. And then it's fond memories.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future of real estate and the future for Victoria. Okay. Where do you see yourself, let's say, in 5 years? Is there anything, because we know, look, real estate, the technology, the game, it's always changing. It's shifting. It's, improving. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you see real estate going for you personally, maybe in your business or things that you, some people are like, hey, I really enjoy new dev and I'm going to do a fix and flip and I want to become a developer. Or some people say, I really love the design work. I'm going to have a side, interior design company. Is there anything for you that you see that you want to achieve in the future?
It's a great question because I always think about that for myself. I got my Florida broker license
congratulations.
in March. Yeah, that was like taking the bar exam
That's
again.
huge. It totally is.
It was really hard because Florida is a different animal than New York.
Yes.
They are allowed to do everything that we're not allowed to do here.
Sure.
Like hold escrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like not use attorneys. We just use title companies.
It's a title state.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. So it's a very scary Wild West state.
Mm-hmm.
So every question that in New York would be incorrect, Florida's like, correct.
Correct. Right. You have to like reprogram your thinking.
Yeah, I had to wear like a different hat
Yeah.
to take that exam. But yeah, I passed.
Oh,
And,
good.
Yeah, it was beyond difficult.
That's wonderful.
And I understand now why people fail that exam. Like the pass rate is like 10% or something. I totally understand
Right,
now.
right. Well,
Right.
people think they're using common sense in those exams, and it's really not common sense. It's like, how many days is the max amount of days that you can hold escrow before you have to release it? And it's like,
Yeah, to me, who doesn't do any of the
who
attorney
doesn't
work?
exactly, right,
Right.
precisely. There's just so many little nuances
Yeah.
that you really have to know the specifics of. But that's so exciting. So are you going to be now setting up like a by East Coastal type of
I don't know.
business?
We during COVID when we were locked down,
Yeah.
we had a lot of friends who moved to Florida, wanted to be in Florida, so
Mm-hmm.
we referred $83 million worth
Oh,
of
my
business in
gosh.
4 months.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. And
Wow.
instead of doing the referrals now,
Yeah.
like us girls,
Yes.
like you dare us, you'd say like you can't pass that exam. You
Yeah.
go, want to see?
You want to see? Let me show you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Dare us to do something and we'll do it.
And we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. So
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I used to have a place there. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
a place there. My husband and I, we do high-end development out in the Hamptons. We build
Oh,
houses.
great.
So we're on our 9th house. So we
Fantastic.
buy land. Sometimes it's an old house, but we knock it and
okay.
we do the FAR. Then we do the square footage, put it all
Wow.
together, hire the architects, hire the builders, hire the
Amazing.
designers, and then we sell it.
I love that.
So it's been a really good business in the last 6 years that we've been doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wear that hat, and hopefully, like my son will join us later on in his life and help us with that. So he already got his license.
Okay, excellent. Following in your footsteps.
Yeah, and my daughter's in law school, so I don't know
Okay.
what she's going to do with that. Maybe help us too.
Yeah.
And then, grow the team. I love the team. I love mentoring young people and making them into incredible agents.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for me, I don't know, maybe take a little more time off than I do.
Sure.
Yeah, and travel a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
deserve it. You're
Yeah, I
definitely
deserve it.
entitled. I think you've earned
Yeah.
it over all these years.
Yes, yes.
Well,
I hope so.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Victoria.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh,
Talia.
okay. I didn't. This is reverse now. Okay.
Yeah, reverse.
Yes.
So we agents, brokers, when we hire you as an attorney,
Yes.
what do you see the pitfalls that we don't give you that to help you to have a smoother, nicer, and better transaction?
Okay. So, a few things that I would really highlight as being super important. One is whenever there's a change in the financial position of the borrower, because both from a lending perspective and if you're buying a co-op or condo from the whole DTI perspective. So one thing that I think is really important is educating the buyers, because I can't tell you how many times I've had buyers jump ship in the middle of a transaction and switch
What do you mean,
jobs.
That kind
Change jobs. And then they're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I'm going to start in this. It's like, no, wait, we're in the middle of the transaction. You can't do that. So like, it's, for me, a lot of it is educating the client.
Right.
Number two, as far as clearing and reviewing title, there's so many times from an attorney's perspective where they do not review title in advance and they wait until the last minute, like before closing once we have board approval. And it's a little too late in the game to get a discharge or satisfaction of judgment or get a lien release if it's a tax lien, things like that. Those are other things that are really important to do from an attorney perspective. But beyond that, it's really just preparing the buyer for the process. And like you said, it's teamwork, right? So the agent and the attorneys, we work with one another to try and make sure that the deal goes as smoothly as possible, and educating that client. And the final thing that I will say about it is in New York, there's no inspection contingency like there is in Florida and other parts of the country where they have 2 weeks after signing the contract to do their inspection and they have a full contingency. There's so many buyers that are not advised properly by their agents in New York that they have a right to conduct an inspection. Now, normally with a house, it's mandatory, it's automatic unless it's a gut reno or a tear down. But with a condo or a co-op, 9 times out of 10, the seller's writer will say purchaser represents that they've examined the premises and they accept the condition of the property or they waive their right to do so.
Right.
So when the contract comes to me and I'm doing contract review with the buyer and they were not advised by their agent in advance when the offer was accepted, hey, just so you know, you have a right to do an inspection. It's optional in a co-op or condo because the building maintains it. You'll have your final walkthrough. Appliances and systems will be delivered operational, but you still have a right to do it. I can't tell you how many times that I've been right at the contract review and signing with the buyer, and they're like, wait a minute, I didn't know I could have an inspection. Well, stop everything. I want to set up an inspection, and then I'll be like, okay, sure. And I'll explain the contract, what the terms are. And they're like, yeah, but I'm not a professional. I'm a first-time home buyer. Like, I don't, I feel much better just having a professional. So we stop everything and then they go and they schedule their inspection. Now, time kills all deals. So it might be, it's a little late in the game, but I can't prevent the buyer from doing that. As an attorney, I can't advise them not to because I don't want to take on the liability. The agent doesn't want to take on the liability. So I would say hands down, that's probably the first red flag that comes up in a lot of deals.
Okay. The inspection. So, we do sell houses in Staten Island, Queens, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
We have team members that do that. And what we do is that when we get the listing agreement, when we have the conversation with the owner, we tell him or her that we are going to get an inspector that's known by the whole industry that comes in and does an inspection, and we do a title search prior when we have the contract, the listing signed.
Listing, yeah.
So we know that if there's mold, leak, or whatever it is, we cure that prior to contract signing. And the same thing if there's a lien. Let's say the contractor did, some kind of work 20 years ago and forgot to, the owner forgot to pay him.
Right.
And
now
didn't
there's
pay
a mechanics lien.
Right.
Yeah.
So we make sure that everything is done. So when it's time to sign contract, we have clear title.
Yeah, smart. I love that. That's a phenomenal idea because first of all, you're fully aware, you're getting ahead of the ball, you're addressing any issues before they would come up in the buyer's inspection or in the buyer's title report. And now you're ensuring a much smoother, but that's being proactive, like you said.
Like we said, so there's no fire.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So if, look, that's a great, habit to make for a lot of agents, for them to follow and incorporate in your business, because if anything, you will save more deals. You won't lose deals, because it's not just getting a deal into the contract. It's actually getting to the closing table. That's the hard part. Not just getting offer and acceptance, but really overcoming all of those pitfalls that may arise that could kill a deal.
Later on. And it also saves us time, because while we're showing the property, we already have the lien, knowing, the title report. We already have all the information of what's happening.
Yes.
And so then when that is going on, the owner is aware of it, and we're able to cure it.
Yeah.
So now they sign the contract, everything's free and clear. Right. And if it's a cash, we could close the next day.
Right. Exactly. No,
as opposed to now, like, you have to go to the buildings department.
Yeah, now you have to get permits closed and violations cleared and things like that. Yeah, and
exactly.
And a lot of people don't realize, especially in a contract for co-op or condo in New York, there is a provision that states if the commitment letter expires due to seller's delay in the closing, setting the closing, that the buyer has a right to cancel and walk away with their full deposit. So that is something that obviously nobody wants to happen, but the buyer does have that right to do so, which again means the more that you can address up front and clear up front. So I think that's a phenomenal method.
We do that when we get the listing signed.
Smart. I love it. Well, I hope you guys learned a lot of great tips and advice today to help you with your business. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us. And for our viewers and our listeners who want to reach out to you or connect with you directly, what's the best way for them to contact you?
The best way to contact me is my name is V for Victoria Shtainer. It's SHTAINER at compass.com.
Okay, great. And what about your Instagram handle?
The Victoria Shtainer team.
Beautiful. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
All right.
you.
We'll see you next
Thank you.
time.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been tuning into Real Estate Powerhouse live on Tab Talks with your host, attorney Talia Bashani. For more information, please visit tali360.com. You can watch this show streaming live on StreamYard and available across all social media outlets, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook Live, and more. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, and questions, and please share this show with your network.